Vincent Blackwood sat in his corner office on the 40th floor, staring at the city sprawling beneath him, a glittering carpet. At 35, he owned the most prestigious chain of luxury hotels across the country. His empire stretched from coast to coast, each property a testament to his relentless ambition and business acumen. Yet despite his incredible success, Vincent felt an emptiness that no amount of money could fill. The morning sun cast long shadows across his mahogany desk as his assistant, Jennifer, knocked softly and entered with his usual black coffee and the daily newspaper. Vincent barely glanced up from his laptop until something caught his eye on the front page. There, featured in the art section, was a photograph that made him stop breathing for a moment. A young woman stood beside a breathtaking sunset painting, her smile radiant and genuine. She had cascading chestnut hair that caught the gallery lights like silk threads, and even through the newspaper print, her emerald eyes seemed to sparkle with an inner joy that Vincent hadn't seen in years. She wore a simple cream-colored dress that somehow made her look both elegant and approachable. "Who is this artist?" Vincent asked, his voice rougher than usual as he pointed to the photograph. Jennifer leaned over to read the caption. "Isabella Martinez, sir. She's 22, and this was her debut art exhibition." The article mentions she works part-time at Moonbeam Cafe downtown to support her artistic pursuits. Vincent studied the image more intently. There was something about Isabella's expression, a combination of pride and vulnerability, that stirred something deep within his chest. For the first time in months, he felt genuinely curious about something other than profit margins and expansion plans. "Cancel my afternoon meetings," Vincent said suddenly, surprising both himself and Jennifer. "I need to step out." 20 minutes later, Vincent found himself standing outside Moonbeam Cafe, a quaint little establishment with hand-painted windows and the rich aroma of freshly ground coffee beans wafting into the street. He had never done anything so impulsive in his adult life, but something about Isabella's photograph had awakened a part of him he thought had died long ago. The bell above the door chimed as he entered, and immediately, Isabella looked up from behind the counter, where she was arranging fresh pastries. The moment their eyes met, Vincent felt as though he had been struck by lightning. She was even more beautiful in person than in her photograph, with creamy skin that seemed to glow in the warm calf lighting and lips that curved into the most enchanting smile. "Good morning," Isabella said, her voice soft and melodious like honey drizzling over warm biscuits. "What can I get for you today?" Vincent found himself momentarily speechless, which was unusual for a man who commanded boardrooms and negotiated million-dollar deals without hesitation. "Coffee," he managed to say. "Black coffee, please." As Isabella moved with graceful efficiency, preparing his order, Vincent noticed the way she hummed softly under her breath, and how her movements had an almost dance-like quality. When she handed him the steaming cup, their fingers brushed briefly, sending an electric shock through his entire nervous system. "You're the artist from the newspaper," Vincent said, attempting to sound casual despite his racing heartbeat. Isabella's cheeks flushed a delicate pink, and she looked down shyly. "You saw that? I still can't believe they featured my work. It feels like a dream." "Your painting was extraordinary," Vincent replied honestly. "You have incredible talent. You should be proud." "Thank you," Isabella whispered, her blush deepening. "That means everything. Coming from someone like you." "Someone like me?" Isabella gestured vaguely at his expensive suit and the confident way he carried himself. "You look successful, important. Like someone who understands beautiful things." Vincent couldn't help but smile at her innocent observation. If only she knew that he owned hotels filled with priceless artwork. Yet none of it had ever moved him the way her simple sunset painting had. "Would you like to have dinner with me sometime?" The words escaped before Vincent could stop them, surprising him with their boldness. Isabella's eyes widened in shock, and for a moment, she simply stared at him as if trying to determine whether he was serious. "I don't even know your name," she said softly. "Vincent. Vincent Blackwood." Recognition flickered in her beautiful eyes. "The Vincent Blackwood? The hotel owner?" "Yes." Isabella shook her head in disbelief. "Why would someone like you want to have dinner with someone like me?" "You could have dinner with anyone in the world," Vincent leaned against the counter, his gaze never leaving her face. Because you're the first person in years who has made me feel something real. Because when I look at your art, I see beauty and passion, and everything I've been missing in my life. Isabella stood frozen, her heart hammering against her ribs. No one had ever spoken to her with such intensity, such raw honesty. I finish work at 7, she said quietly. I'll pick you up at 7:15, Vincent replied, his smile making her knees feel weak. As Vincent left the cafe, Isabella watched him through the window, wondering if she had just made the best or most dangerous decision of her life. She had no idea that this chance encounter would lead to a love story that would change both of their lives forever, culminating in a wedding night where she would whisper the words that would make Vincent lose all control. I'm yours forever. Falling into forever, Vincent arrived at exactly 7:15 in a sleek midnight blue car that whispered money and power. But when Isabella emerged from the cafe, he wasn't wearing his usual business attire. Instead, he had chosen dark jeans and a white button-down shirt with the sleeves rolled up, making him look approachable and devastatingly handsome. You look beautiful, Vincent said as he opened the car door for her. Isabella had chosen her favorite sundress, a flowing navy number with tiny white flowers that brought out her eyes. Where are we going? Isabella asked as they drove through the city streets. Somewhere we can actually talk without interruptions, Vincent replied with a mysterious smile. I did some research about you. Isabella raised an eyebrow. Research? Vincent looked slightly embarrassed. I discovered that you love quiet places and meaningful conversations. So instead of taking you to some noisy restaurant where we'd have to shout over the music, I planned something different. He drove them to a secluded hilltop overlooking the city, where he had arranged a perfect picnic setup with a soft blanket, flickering lanterns, and a basket filled with gourmet food. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in brilliant shades of orange and purple, they sat together sharing stories and discoveries about each other. Tell me about your painting, Vincent said as they shared chocolate-covered strawberries. It's nothing special, Isabella replied modestly, but Vincent shook his head. The newspaper thought it was special enough for the front page. What inspired that particular sunset? Isabella's expression grew soft and slightly sad. My parents. They died in a car accident 3 years ago, but when I was little, they used to take me to watch sunsets. My father always said that sunsets were nature's way of showing us that endings could be beautiful too. My mother would add that every sunset was unique, because no 2 days were exactly the same. Vincent reached over and gently took her hand. I'm sorry for your loss. I understand that pain more than you might think. You do? My parents died when I was 28. Also a car accident. I threw myself into building my business afterward, trying to prove something to myself, or maybe just trying not to think about being alone. They talked until the stars appeared, sharing childhood memories, dreams for the future, and fears they had never voiced aloud. Vincent told her about his first hotel, and how terrified he had been that nobody would come. Isabella shared the story of her first painting sale, and how she had cried tears of joy for hours afterward. I should take you home, Vincent said reluctantly when the night grew cool. I know I should say yes, Isabella admitted, but I don't want this evening to end. Then it doesn't have to. Can I see you tomorrow? I work until 4. Perfect. I'll pick you up at 4:15. Their second date was a visit to the city's premier art museum. Vincent watched in fascination as Isabella explained different painting techniques and shared stories about famous artists. Her face illuminated with passion when she discussed art, and Vincent found himself falling deeper with every animated gesture and excited explanation. You see so much in these paintings, he said as they stood before a magnificent Monet. I've been coming here since I was a child, Isabella explained. Whenever I felt sad or lonely, I would come here and look at these masterpieces and feel less alone. It's like the artists were speaking to me across time and space. That's beautiful. I've never looked at art that way before, Isabella smiled. What do you see when you look at this painting? Vincent studied the water lilies carefully. Expensive paint on expensive canvas in an expensive frame, he said honestly. Isabella laughed, a sound that made Vincent's heart skip beats. That's such a businessman's answer. Look again, but this time don't think about money or value. What do you feel? Vincent tried to see the painting through Isabella's eyes. Slowly, he began to notice details he had missed before. The way light danced across the painted water, the peaceful atmosphere the scene created, the incredible skill required to make flat paint look so three-dimensional and alive. I can imagine sitting beside this pond, he said finally. It looks like a place where someone could forget their troubles and just exist in the moment. Exactly. Isabella's eyes sparkled with delight. You do understand art. You just needed to look with your heart instead of your analytical mind. That observation stayed with Vincent long after he dropped Isabella off at her modest apartment. He had spent so many years viewing everything through the lens of business and profit that he had forgotten how to simply experience beauty and wonder. Their relationship blossomed quickly after that. Vincent found himself completely captivated by Isabella's innocence and pure heart. She saw beauty in the smallest things. A flower growing through a sidewalk crack, children playing in the park, the way morning light transformed her coffee cup into something magical. Being with her made Vincent feel young again, reminding him that life offered so much more than financial success. 3 months after their first meeting, Vincent took Isabella to the rooftop garden of his tallest hotel. The entire city spread below them, a constellation of twinkling lights. Rose petals covered the floor, and soft music drifted through hidden speakers. Isabella, Vincent said, dropping to one knee as he produced a velvet ring box. You've transformed my entire world. Before I met you, I was just a successful man living in empty luxury. You filled my life with color and meaning and love. Will you marry me? The ring was elegant but not ostentatious, a classic solitaire that somehow perfectly matched Isabella's understated beauty. Yes, Isabella cried, tears of happiness streaming down her cheeks. Yes, of course, yes. Their engagement period passed like a beautiful dream sequence. Vincent moved Isabella into his penthouse, creating a perfect art studio for her with floor-to-ceiling windows that provided ideal natural light. Every morning, he brought her coffee in bed and kissed her goodbye before leaving for work. Every evening, he returned home eager to hear about her day and see her latest creative projects. Despite their deep love and growing passion, they made the decision to wait until their wedding night to fully consummate their relationship. Vincent respected Isabella's innocence and wanted their first intimate experience to be as special and meaningful as possible. I want to wait, Isabella had told him one evening when their kisses had grown especially heated and passionate. Are you certain? Vincent asked, his body aching with desire for her. We don't have to wait if you're ready, I'm sure, Isabella said softly. I've never been with anyone before, and I want you to be my first, and only on our wedding night when I'm truly your wife. Vincent had never wanted anything more desperately, but he loved Isabella too much to pressure her. Then we'll wait. It will make our wedding night even more incredible. The months leading to their wedding flew by in a whirlwind of planning and anticipation. Vincent handled most of the arrangements, wanting to give Isabella the perfect fairy tale wedding. He reserved the most beautiful cathedral in the city and filled it with thousands of white roses, Isabella's favorite flowers. On their wedding morning, Vincent woke up alone for the final time. Isabella had spent the night at her best friend's apartment. Following tradition, Vincent had barely slept, too excited and nervous about finally making Isabella his wife in every possible way. At the cathedral, Vincent stood at the altar, feeling his heart pound with anticipation. When the wedding march began and the doors opened to reveal Isabella in her wedding gown, Vincent felt his breath catch in his throat. She looked like an angel floating down the aisle toward him. Her dress was crafted from silk and French lace with tiny seed pearls sewn into intricate patterns. Her chestnut hair was styled in an elegant updo with delicate baby's breath woven throughout. But it was her radiant smile and the love shining in her emerald eyes that made Vincent feel weak in the knees. When Isabella reached the altar, Vincent took her trembling hands in his steady ones. You're the most beautiful bride in the world, he whispered so only she could hear. I love you so much, she whispered back, her voice filled with emotion. The ceremony passed in a blur of sacred vows and exchanged rings and promises of forever. When the priest pronounced them husband and wife, and said Vincent could kiss his bride, he cupped Isabella's face gently, and kissed her with all the love and restrained passion he had been holding back for months. At their reception, they danced to their favorite song while friends and family celebrated around them, but Vincent only had eyes for his new wife. Every time Isabella smiled at him, his heart raced faster with anticipation of their upcoming private time together. "I can't wait to be alone with you," Isabella whispered in his ear as they swayed together on the dance floor. "Soon," Vincent promised, his voice rough with barely contained desire. Very soon. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, they were able to leave their reception and return to Vincent's penthouse. In the elevator ascending to their home, the romantic tension between them was so intense that Vincent could barely think straight. "Are you nervous?" Vincent asked, noticing how Isabella was fidgeting with her new wedding ring. "A little," she admitted honestly, "but mostly excited. I've been dreaming about this moment for months. We don't have to rush anything tonight. We have our entire lives together." Isabella looked up at him with such love and desire in her beautiful eyes that Vincent felt his carefully maintained control beginning to crack. "I don't want to wait anymore," she said softly. "I want you to make me completely yours tonight." When they reached their penthouse, Vincent carried Isabella across the threshold, making her giggle with pure joy. He set her down gently in their living room, which he had decorated with rose petals and flickering candles while she was getting ready that morning. "Vincent, it's absolutely magical," Isabella gasped, looking around at the romantic scene he had created. "Not nearly as magical as you," he replied, his brown eyes dark with desire as he looked at his new wife. Isabella felt her heart racing as Vincent moved closer to her. The way he was looking at her made her feel like the most desirable woman who had ever lived. She had dreamed about this moment for months, wondering what it would feel like to finally belong to him completely. "I love you so much, Mrs. Blackwood," Vincent said, his voice deep and rough with overwhelming emotion. "I love you too, Mr. Blackwood," Isabella replied, her voice trembling with anticipation. Vincent cupped her face in his hands and kissed her deeply. This kiss was different from all their previous kisses. It was filled with promise and passion, and the knowledge that they no longer had to hold back or restrain themselves. "Are you absolutely certain you're ready?" Vincent asked, pulling back to look directly into her eyes. "I've never been more certain of anything in my entire life," Isabella whispered. "I want you to be my first and only. I want to belong to you completely. I belong to you completely," Isabella whispered against Vincent's lips as they stood in their candlelit bedroom. And those words made Vincent's carefully maintained control finally snap completely. That night, Vincent showed Isabella pleasures she had never imagined possible, and she gave him her complete trust and innocence in return. Their wedding night was everything they had dreamed it would be, and so much more. From a shy virgin bride and a lonely billionaire, they became passionate lovers and devoted partners who would face whatever the future brought them together. Their love story was just beginning, but already they knew they had found in each other not just love, but passion, partnership, and the promise of a lifetime filled with happiness and devotion. The beautiful love story of Vincent and Isabella teaches us profound truths about life, love, and human connection. True love has the power to transform even the most successful but empty lives. Vincent, despite his wealth and achievements, was incomplete until he found someone who saw beauty in simple moments and taught him to look with his heart rather than his mind. Isabella's story shows us that genuine worth comes from authenticity, not material possessions. Her pure heart, artistic passion, and ability to find wonder in everyday moments made her more valuable than any treasure Vincent could have acquired through business. Their relationship demonstrates that the most meaningful connections happen when two people choose vulnerability over protection. By waiting for their wedding night and building their relationship on emotional intimacy first, they created a foundation strong enough to support lifelong passion. The story reminds us that sometimes the most unexpected encounters can lead to life-changing love. Vincent's spontaneous decision to visit the coffee shop and Isabella's courage to say yes to dinner with a stranger show us that taking chances on love, despite fear or uncertainty, can lead to extraordinary happiness. Most importantly, their journey proves that when two souls truly belong together, they complete each other in ways that money and success never could.